given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe.
What is up, everyone? When it comes to this support supplement Saturday, I'm going to be going over 3 things that everyone should focus on to prevent injuries. Now, I'm going to be mentioning this because I'm going to keep them anonymous, but I'll mention for me. I know people who are family, friends, and they've got injured due to, when it comes to a technique, when it comes to lack of flexibility, when it comes to mobility, or when it comes to just being in a bad situation. But because we're going to focus on exercising, when it comes to running, any type of cardiovascular training, to resistance training, there's a technique to it, and your flexibility and mobility is going to be a factor. Now, when it comes down to it, I'm going to focus on, I'll mention one different thing and I'll show you. Now, when it comes down to technique, flexibility, mobility is affected no matter what you do. If it's really good, then you, let's say from flexibility is really good, then your mobility tends to be good as well. If you have both of those, and then you work on proper technique, then all of them will be great. You will be able to notice so much when it comes to strength, power, overall abilities. It will be much better. If you are someone who, let's say, starts with awesome flexibility and mobility, but then your technique is bad on an exercise, let's say for the deadlift, so I'm going to go as far back as I can. Deadlift is a hip hinge. So simply take that core, keep it engaged, and boom. That would be a hip hinge. Now, there's no bar, there's no deadlift equipment whatsoever here. All I'm doing is simply going to pretend that I have a bar in my hand, going hip hinge, core is engaged as much as you can. Now let's say you go to here and your shoulders start to slouch. The culprit is lack of strength in your upper back. It could be your traps, rhomboids, your lats, all those can be a culprit. So you want to really be able to develop your back and make it so your deadlifts less chance of causing flexion of the back. Then you want to do is simply, you can either start off like this and just bring those shoulders back, keep those core engaged, and hold it. While at the same time, shoulders are down, which will have it where your rhomboids, your lats, they are firing, they are trying, and this will help with, this is an isometric hold, so it will help with strength, help with making sure they have learned to pull the shoulders back, which in return, when you're doing deadlifts, it will help with preventing this from happening. Now, let's say it's not that. Let's say you're doing this hip hinge. Let's say you don't have your core engaged. My shoulders are back, but my middle back and lower back is rounded. Shoulders not back, shoulders back. Now, let's say that is the issue. Your core might be too weak to do deadlifts, which is why you should do different things like just simply working on this technique. Simply have your toes facing forward, hip hinge. Just from going here, keep that core tight. So you gotta keep that core tight. And when you got it down, keeping the core tight, go a little farther down, go a little farther down. Now, some people, that'll be too easy. But that's simply working on a technique. You can break down techniques and see wherever you have an issue, work on it. Either work on muscles that you see when it comes to the shoulders slouching, if you walk around, you notice your shoulders are slouching, 9 out of 10 is due to your back not being strong enough to take those shoulders and bring them back. Now, when you're doing that, you should also take into account your chest. Your chest can be super tight, in which case you need to stretch it, open it up, at the same time work on developing your back. So that way, instead of going like this, you'll be able to go like that. And you'll have better posture. Better posture from just walking around, better posture on the deadlifts, better posture when it comes to squats, better posture when it comes to everything like that. Now, is it always going to be perfect form? No. But there's a higher chance if you have better posture walking around, it's going to be better posture when it comes to actually weighted equipment, like weighted exercises. Now, when it comes down to it, the technique goes for every type of exercise you do, from cardiovascular to resistance training. Flexibility and mobility is going to be a big factor. If you lack flexibility, it will affect your mobility. If you lack any of those, it will affect your technique. Now, there's different ways that you can help out your mobility, help out your flexibility, help out your technique. Everyone knows when it comes to technique, do it low weight or no weight and just focus on the technique. Focusing on building that mind-muscle connection. Learning, getting the technique down through repetitions. Even if it's just the body weight stuff that I was showing you before. Even if it's just the body weight and learning that movement. Getting your body to learn the movement and getting it down. Just like if you are, let's say for example a kid. A kid goes from crawling to walking. Are they going to get it down like that? No. They're going to end up realizing, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and they're constantly shaking. They're shaking, they fall, they get back up, they're trying. They're learning through repetitions. Riding a bike, you learn through repetitions. When it comes to anything, you're learning through repetitions. The more you do it, the easier it will be. If you have the proper technique, then it will make it a lot easier, plus to greatly decrease the probability of injuries. So just to summarize, flexibility, mobility, technique, you need to work on those. To make your technique better, lower the weight, do some research. You can record yourself, send a video to me, and I'll say, hey, your shoulders are slouching a little bit. Try to add these exercises in. Try to take or do different cues. Take your chest, bring it out. When your chest goes out, you naturally bring your shoulders back. That will help out with posture. Now, let's say the cues aren't working, in which case I'll tell you, all right, do these different exercises to help with your back, which will in return naturally bring your chest out, naturally bring those shoulders back. Now, let's say you have the technique down, but you still lack the mobility or flexibility. For flexibility, you can do yoga. You can do so many different things to help you out. Mobility, you can do diametric stretching, you can do the yoga, you can do resistance bands, and that will help you out. If you have any questions when it comes to the actual exercises, when it comes to anything like that, please, you can DM me on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, and stay strong.
What you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and